Hello everyone, so we are going to do part 2 of Legal Bites series on Colleen Ballinger and everything that's been happening. We just watched part 1 and it was incredible and very well done, and part 2 has been posted, so shout out Legal Bites, go over and send some love. These videos are incredibly done. We are going to watch this one. This one is titled Colleen Ballinger's Massive Legal Mistakes Using Fans for Free Labor. So this one has to do with the amount of work I did for that bitch. I love the music.
In our first video on YouTuber Colleen Ballinger's potential legal troubles coming out of the recent YouTube drama surrounding her, we talked about her rise to fame and the allegations that have come out about her. Specifically, we went into the alleged communications she was having with minors, where she was apparently talking about explicit subjects and
Legal Bites, stop putting Cody on the scene, or on the screen, sorry, without a trigger warning. I want trigger warning Cody Tyler. Please, I'm begging.
Sharing OnlyFans images
These
so
are
they could comment
children
on them together. We also touched on some of the live stage skits that have surfaced with allegations of further impropriety with minors. In this video, we're going into another area where Colleen may have made some legal mistakes, and that's in the area of employment law. As a
The fact this YouTuber is able to make a 3-parter on 3 different issues of legal trouble that Colleen could be in is crazy.
For California employment litigator myself, let's just say that there are some things here that she has done and said she's done that actually give me quite a bit of pause. Let's get into it.
Oh, I thought we were gonna have a beat drop. Nope.
So
sorry, that was so scary. With the music? Mama, that's the opening to the Scream 7 movie.
So in the last video, we talked a little bit about a 2020 video published by YouTuber Adam McIntyre, a former fan of Colleen Ballinger. In that same video, along with the other allegations he made, he also said that he did some work for her related to her social media accounts, and it sounds like this was unpaid work.
And then
I love that she used against me the fact that I put like cropped screenshots in my 2020 video. So in my 2023 video, I just loaded up our Instagram conversation and just scrolled through them all. Even read the like irrelevant messages. I was like, I'm showing you everything.
Proceeded to tell me about how she was planning on making...
She was like, he took everything out of context. And I was like, okay, great. Let's show all the context, bitch. Makes you look even worse.
...her social media intern. Right now, I'm considering you my social media intern, but if things go well, we can talk about me hiring you part-time for an hourly rate. I don't like using your creativity and insight for free, so
give me a break.
I'm not planning on taking advantage of your help.
I didn't even mean to wear yellow today as well.
Works out that way. How does that sound, Queen?
Adam says he did a ton of work for Miranda's social media accounts, and he gave tons of ideas to Colleen for the character.
4 years.
And that he wasn't
4 years.
paid for it.
4 years.
Since
4 years.
Colleen had been...
My story never changed since 2017. 4 years.
Coming to me for video ideas, tweet ideas, Instagram ideas, anything for the Miranda Sings character, but also some for herself too. And whenever we talked about how Miranda wasn't really doing well anymore, she messaged me and then said, well, help me. And that's then whenever I started giving the tweet ideas. So on the 25th of March of this year, I started giving more ideas again because Colleen was aware that the Miranda
my ideas were so good.
Very stale and inactive on social media. And on the 26th of March again, she started tweeting my ideas, which included Animal Crossing stuff. So on the 25th and 26th, I presented her with about 15 different tweet ideas.
Now, after Adam's video came out...
Ironically, more funny than Colleen Ballinger could ever be. And you know what's so funny? The fact that people are like, oh, Colleen stopped doing Miranda Sings in 2020. Is that any irony that was the year that I stopped giving her ideas for Miranda Sings? Mama, from 2017 on, I gave her most ideas for Miranda Sings. Like, is there any idea? Are people not putting 2 and 2 together that she stopped doing Miranda whenever we stopped talking? There was no ideas anymore.
Colleen eventually responded to this allegation in her own video explaining what happened.
He's asked me multiple times if he can help me out with social media again. I always thought that was really, really sweet, but most of the time I did not engage in those conversations until recently. A couple months ago, he reached out to me and brought up the fact that the Miranda accounts hadn't been as active as they used to be and how he wanted to help me do more social media stuff. So he sent me a whole bunch of edited photos that he had in a folder ready to go for Miranda.
Because for 4 years I was giving them to her. Let's add context, Queen.
He told me about a bunch of funny tweets he wanted to post, and he let me know that he had experience working in social media. He really vetted for himself, and because I'd known him for so many years, I was overexhausted and I don't have all the time I used to have to run all my social media. I thought, you know what, this might be a good situation to test run this and see if this could work out.
Test run this. Longest test run of my life.
This wouldn't be the first time I had hired a fan. I love hiring my fans for many reasons. One, they're super freaking talented. Two, they know me better.
And number 3, I don't have to pay them.
Better than anybody. And 3, I love supporting their dreams and passions in any way that I can. I've hired my fans to design merch. I've hired fans to go on tour with me. I've hired fans to edit things for me. And how hiring my employees works is I usually do a little test run to see how it goes. If it goes well, then I hire them officially through my company and they are paid legally through the corporation. It was no different for him. I wanted to do a little
It was
test
no different for him, but we didn't pay him.
run. If it went well, then I wanted to hire him.
I will say that
Whoa! That was intense, Queen.
although she meant to clear the air and explain her side, what she just said is actually kind of a huge problem under California law.
I usually do a little test run to see how it goes. Then I hire them officially through my
I already know this, but this is the first time I'm able to speak about it publicly because someone else brought it up, not me. Not me.
company and they are paid legally through the corporation.
And I'll explain why in just a minute. First, I have to thank this video sponsor. This video is sponsored by Scentbird.
Girl, can you send me your PR email? Where are you getting these sponsors? Shout out Adam and Eve, loyal since day one.
California.
All aboard!
Adam
Now,
50,
it's
yeah.
one thing if someone comes up to a content creator, giving ideas and offering material unsolicited. The act of offering ideas to a content creator on its own doesn't necessarily
Not bad.
create a duty for the content creator to pay for
Duty.
those ideas if they didn't ask for it. But if someone approaches a content creator offering to go and make those materials for that content creator, and the content creator then responds with, sure, I'd love for you to go and make me something to use in my business. And by the way, here's some ideas for how I would want this to be done. This could trigger California labor laws, which, by
And also, whenever you're asking for them for 4 years, that really throws out the case of a trial run. Trust me, I know that.
the way, are probably the most stringent in the entire country. I know this because I've litigated these kinds of cases myself. And let me tell you, a dispute over someone's
I will be in contact.
unpaid labor that can start out very small can very, very quickly multiply under California's matrix of fees and penalties, like to kind of an insane degree. Let me just give you an example. In California, it's not uncommon to hire a model for an advertising campaign. Let's say you hire them under contract for 10 hours for a single day. Say you pay the model $3,000 for the whole day. Not bad for one day's work. But if you don't pay that model immediately when they finish their work, immediately meaning within about 72 hours of their last working hour, then you're on the hook for waiting time penalties. This means that under California law, for up to 30 days, for every single day that you don't pay that model his or her $3,000 that you owe them, you as the employer are required to pay them an entire day's wages for each day that you delay it. So for each day that passes, you owe them an additional $3,000. So if it takes you 30 days or more to pay that model, that $3,000 that they were supposed to get paid for one day's work then becomes $90,000. Now that's pretty damn good for one day's work. And that's not even including the interest that accrues and the attorney's fees that they are entitled to have paid for, as well as other costs associated with getting you to pay them what you owe them. The model would be entitled to all of that from the employer. So your failure to pay the model the $3,000 you owe them when they finish their work can very quickly become 6 figures. Okay, so how does this relate to Colleen? Well, Adam claimed that he was doing
Look at the doggy. It has the cutest collar. Legal bites. I will be in contact for many reasons. most importantly, where did you get that dog collar?
Official business work on Colleen's behalf on her social media profiles. She apparently gave him access to the Miranda Sings Twitter account. They discussed behind the scenes some potential tweets about it, and he put out what she approved, apparently. That sounds like that qualifies as Adam working for Colleen. And if she never paid him for that, that's the kind of thing that under California law could hook someone. Really, the only thing that saves Colleen in that specific situation is the 3-year statute of limitations on these kinds of claims. Adam talked about this incident 3 years ago now, so surely the incident itself would have happened even earlier. But it's still worth talking about because once again...
True, however, again, one thing I have learned is there's a lot of things that come into play whenever it has to do with how young I was, how long it was going on for, and the fact that it was also international.
Again, Colleen makes an admission in a video, specifically her 2020 apology video responding to Adam McIntyre's video.
And how hiring my employees works is I usually do a little test run to see how it goes. If it goes well, then I hire them officially through my company and they are paid legally through the corporation.
Here, she just admitted that she has a pattern of practice of trying out fans as employees before she legally pays them through her business as official employees. The words that just came out of her mouth indicate that she routinely makes fans work for free before she gives them paid work. That is not okay under California law. If you give someone tasks for
Also under international.
your business with the intent that they actually fulfill those tasks, you are getting value for that and you have to pay for it. If you require some kind of mandatory training for someone before they officially start working for you, you have to pay them for that time that they are spending in that training. Now, there are some exceptions to this rule, such as unpaid internships, and under some kind of circumstances, I can see an argument being made with independent contractors who would be paid in kind of a different sort of way. But neither of those exceptions apply in these circumstances. For unpaid internships to be legal under California law, there are a bunch of requirements that have to be met. First of all, being tied to some kind of academic program that the intern is actually in. And that's just one requirement. And as it relates to independent contractors, California is arguably the hardest place to qualify a worker as an independent contractor due to what is called the ABC test. This is a 3-part test that says that by default, any worker is an employee of the business unless 3 criteria are met. First, the worker has to be actually independent in the way that he or she does the work. In other words, the employer isn't asserting any kind of control over how they go about doing the
Talk your shit, Legal Bites. Talk your shit.
work. Second, it has to be the case that the worker is doing work that is outside the employer's normal business.
There's also something to note about the fact that I was in college, like working on my own stuff, and working for Colleen also took time away from that. Also something that I know behind the scenes as well.
But here, posting to social media as Miranda Sings is pretty damn central to Colleen's business. So if any of those 3 criteria are not met, that person is considered an employee, not an independent contractor. And in that case, a very large number of labor laws apply, along with a lot of penalties and fees and all kinds of other restrictions. And the thing is, even if Adam himself cannot file a claim on these particular issues,
Sorry, I'm watching the dog.
It's too late for him to file with statute of limitations. If Colleen has continued to do this over the last few years, there are very likely to be other fans out there with the same kind of claim with cases that haven't yet expired. And as I highlighted earlier, the penalties, the fees, the interest, the attorney's fees, all of that can very, very quickly swell to a massive number. But that's not all I've got here. In part 3, we are going to go over the questions that have come up around Colleen's activities with charity drives and the...
Okay, let me talk about this. So, yes, a lot of this, like I said in part 1, is stuff that I'm going to switch over mics because I want to, it's going to cut out a second. Hey, how y'all doing? This is really interesting, and I think that there is something to be said about how much, California law comes into this, but there's also a lot that comes into this with international law, and there's also a lot that comes out with the fact that this went on for so many years. Now, I've kind of been very careful about legal talk in general on my platform, and I know people are like, oh, don't say anything if you've nothing to add or whatever, but I'm like trying to give you something here, you know what I mean? Like, work off it. There is something to be said about how long this went on for. There's something to be said about the fact that all of this happened whenever I was underage. That comes into play with legal stuff, you know, like, oh, a 17-year-old didn't come out with a lawsuit. That's looked at as a little bit different than a 20-year-old being able to come out with a lawsuit, if you understand me, you know what I mean? It's a lot harder for a 17-year-old who's being turned on by the internet to have the confidence, money, or resources to file a lawsuit, and there's a lot that comes into play. I thought this video was incredibly done. Shout out to Legal Bites. Everyone go over and send some love. Very, very, very intelligent woman. And yeah, I can't wait for part 3 because I think not enough people are talking about the childhood cancer scam, allegedly. Anyway, there's that.